I was wondering what is happening.
So you can start now.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Greeting from Germany. Guten Morgen, guten Nacht, and guten Tag. All right. I welcome every one of us to the last panel of environmental narratives and ecology and extractivism in Africa. We've done the first and second panels on Thursday, and I'm happy that our panelists for this session, they are on ground already. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Oh, great. Thank you. Good. So our panelists, we have 12 minutes for presentation, and then we have all the presentations together, and thereafter we will have questions, Q&A after all. So please take note that to present, and then we take the Q&A. I'm happy to welcome the first presenter. Is Moturayo there? Is she there, please? I can't see her on the platform yet. Is she there?
No, she is not.
Oh, okay. Oh, let me assume she'll be on her, or maybe she will join later. I guess the internet might be frustrating things. So I'm going to call the second speaker, who is Dr. Ijeoma Fochu. And she's a lecturer at the Department of Music, University of Nigeria, the only university in Nigeria. Those in UNILAG and from UN and OAU, don't worry. We are all together. And she's going to talk on her project, Allah, the Eagle and the Kite, narratives of ecological justice in Igbo songs. Doctor, you have the floor, ma'am. You can share your slides. Yeah. You can maybe unmute first so that we can hear you. Great.
All right, thank you. Well, let me try to share my slide.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know I was going to speak so bad.
First, don't worry, just cool down, no worries.
Yeah. Okay, let me get it.
Okay.
So, sorry, please, can you give me a little bit of time to arrange?
Okay.
I didn't know I was going to come on so fast. So
Okay.
yes, okay. So I'll just
okay, let me
yeah,
just
I'm coming. It's just to share my I'm almost there.
Beautiful.
You know, can my slide be seen?
Yes, you can just
All right.
Enlarge through the
Okay. So let me see.
down there.
Okay, well, I'm having some technical challenges which I would have been able to get through if I had more time. But okay, my topic is Allah, the Eagle and the Kite, narratives of ecological justice in Igbo songs. Okay, so and then I have only 5 minutes. I thought I had up to 20 minutes. So well,
no, you have 12 minutes, not 5, 12.
Oh, 12.
Yes.
Oh, that's better then. Okay, Igbo land. known by the people as Ala Igbo, is faced with acute land degradation. Ala Igbo is the ancestral homeland of the Igbo, whose language is also known by the same appellation. Many Igbo and their descendants reside outside Ala Igbo as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and more recent migrations. But then many Igbo still reside in Igbo land, which is in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Most Igbo people are Christians, and a few are adherents of other faiths, including Islam, Baha'i, and then a growing number are returning to the indigenous Igbo religious practices. Many aspects of the autochthonous religious beliefs system permeate ways of life of the modern Igbo, even when they profess the faith, as most do. Unfortunately, Igbo music scholarship pays little attention to, sorry, can you still see my slide? It's like,
Yes.
No, ma'am, can
Yeah.
you see what
So, and
page?
this is the map of Africa, and this is where you have Igbo land, that dot in the southeastern Nigeria. So, different cultures approach ecology differently. And in the past, Western and anthropocentric concepts of the environment have dominated. Currently, however, voices in the field have become more diverse, accommodating non-Western concepts and practices. While who notes involvement of cultural and historical location in environmental conceptualization, others, there's a broadening of scope to accommodate commitments to social and political dimension, including politics of colonization and decolonization. Okay, some scholars like Nzewe argue that the environment in Africa engages representations, ideas, imaginations of relationships between humans, non-humans, and the metaphysical. African ecological principles focus on a symbiotic and holistic interconnectedness and interrelatedness of the physical and non-physical. African concepts of environment is therefore holistic, entailing renewal of harmony among biotic, abiotic, metaphysical, and humans in a shared ecological setting. The Igbo indigenous religion is based on Chukwu, one supreme being who created and controls the universe, home to a pantheon of deities and spirits, humans, plants, animals, elements, and minerals. Chukwu is genderless, almighty, unfathomable to human understanding, and does not relate directly with them. Other deities and spirits are embodied in the ecology. They manifest Chukwu, that's the great being, and have particular tasks assigned to him by them, him or her, he's genderless, as we said. Allah, as we can see in the slide, Allah is the mother. She's the most revered and the leader of all the spirits, gods, and goddesses. She is the mother of all the spirits and also the nurturer of the ecosystem. She controls fertility and beauty, prosecutes and administers justice, and maintains harmony through instruments of reward and punishment. Her role in sustaining the ecology on which the society depends is enshrined in Igbo musical practices. In the cosmology of the Igbo, Allah, land still, is the abode of the earth goddess, who is also known by the same appellation, Allah. So Allah thus is not only material, but also a spiritual and sacred entity, and most importantly, the source of life. Titus 2020 notes that African music is a principal and collaborative medium in a typical African environment, which conveys ecological awareness through its contents. Characteristically, Igbo music serves the same function. The primary philosophy
like she's having internet something. I just wait for her for some seconds. See. And the internet is let's just wait a few seconds, please. Let's see if she can come back. Um, I think we just move to the next speaker because of the time. When she comes back, we will continue from where she stops. Because of the time, we understand the network condition, and we still have to manage the time. Okay. Let me invite the second speaker, Dr. Okay, like she's here. Okay, you're back, Dr.
Hello, I'm back.
Good, good.
Can you? Yes, I'm back, but I can't use my laptop anymore. And maybe if you can stop my phone is still ringing. I can't
Okay,
take it on.
okay.
But you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, I may not. I may just my video may not work at this point.
Okay, just go ahead.
Okay. So I use the motherism feminist theory and the ecomusicological approach, which intersects at concern for environmental sustainability and social process to critically examine and interpret land issues of Igbo society. So because of want of time, I will not go on to explain immediately what motherism and the rest of them are. So what I found, well, I interviewed, I had interview, I collected the music, I was on the field, and then of course I belong to the culture, and also I have participated in some of the performances. So what I found out is that Igbo music, the positioning and performance of the basic structural features, form, melody, harmony, rhythm, repetition, serve exigencies of oral expression and communication and embody shared and complementary actions. The types and forms of musical structure and performance are determined by the requirements of performance occasion. Usually the antiphonal structure of solo and chorus will result, and this may be accompanied or accompanied. Again, most of the percussive instruments are used. We have solo, free and strict times are also performed, but less frequently. Characteristically of Igbo music, polymetric and polyrhythmic structures abound. And, of course, it goes together. So we look at it goes in line with the normal Igbo music. I mean, the songs that we chose that had connotations of the environment. So, and then we examine the song text. A lot of Igbo conceptualizations and explications of the environment as a spiritual entity and engagement with Allah abound in the rich literary resources of the song text of both traditional and popular genres of Igbo music. We have excerpts from some of them, like Anetibweyao, Anobodo Anwetibweyao, Anobodo Anwetibunyoayanyao. Okay, so this is in a kind of speech singing. And the translation is that the land will kill him. The land will definitely kill him. The land will kill him and he will die because it is an abomination, for it is to be avoided. This song text alludes to the sweet punishment of Allah the mother goddess. Menace of Goli, erosion, is the punishment of not respecting Omenala, which is laws of the land, and waywardness of the people. In the case of individuals, Allah does not hesitate to terminate the life of the offender if that serves justice, as is seen in the song text, below. So we have Ewe Belu go Belu, Kesi Beye Bela Nku Wanya. Let the kite perch, let the eagle perch. Anyone that prevents the other from perching, may its wings break. So this example too alludes to the justice of Allah still. Let the kites, the Milvus migrans and the eagle, Helietus vocifer, perch. If anyone says no to the other, may its wing break. Eagle symbolizes beauty and prestige, while the kite symbolizes destruction in the culture. Even though eagle surpasses kite in all desirable qualities, yet there is no prejudice in dealing with them, as the high and low are treated with equity as seen in the song text. So cooperation, reciprocity, and justice inextricably constitute the bedrock upon which conceptualization of land and well-being of the Igbo society are situated. This is exemplified in the interaction of the proverbial eagle and kite, which often appears in song texts. The eagle and kite symbolize high and low social status, respectively. Allah swiftly breaks the wings of any one of them that fails to conform to the Igbo tenets of interaction, irrespective of his social ranking. Likewise, lack of cooperation, reciprocity, and respect in relating with any member of the ecosystem is met with swift retributory justice by Allah. This may appear in the form of pestilence, land degradation, and societal attrition if it is perpetrated by the whole community, as witnessed in contemporary Igbo land. In the case of individuals, it could be social or economic misfortune, sudden or violent death, or affliction by strange diseases. The pre-colonial era, which is marked by unadulterated practices of Igbo religious tenets and concomitant ecological practices, is associated with minimal land degradation when compared to the colonial and post-colonial periods. These periods, when the colonial anthropocentric practices were thrust on the Igbo society and the indigenous knowledge and its practices of reciprocity, cooperation, and complementarity became eroded, is associated with increased land and societal attritions. Environmental as well as societal degradation is believed to be consequences of the failure to observe spiritual and ecological norms and values. Lack of observations of such tenets are considered taboos and desecration of the land, the abode of Allah. It amounts to disrespect of Allah in engaging with the land, her residence. The powerful deity swiftly delivers justice, concomitant social and environmental degradation. In conclusion, then, land degradation and societal attrition are consequences of retributive justice, which stems from failure to observe spiritual and environmental tenets that govern the use of land and societal well-being. Through its transdisciplinary conversation between spirituality, music, reciprocity, justice, and ecology, this study has revealed trajectories of the colonial spirituality in Igbo society. It has also provided insights into how the Igbo create meaning and give expression to land as a spiritual entity in the face of a rapidly degrading environment. Thank you.
Please, round of applause for Dr. Ijoma Fochu. Thank you very much for this brilliant presentation. Now, we will take all the presentations and then we going to Q&A, like I said. So I'm going to invite Dr. Olufemi A. Olaleye, the head of department, Federal Polytechnic Ilaro, who will be presenting to us now his paper. Please, you are welcome, sir. Have the floor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you very much, Dr. Titus and the House. I want to quickly share my slide so that please, can you see my slide?
Yes, I will.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you
we
see
can
my
see.
slide?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The title of my work is Ethnomusicology and Musicology Abroad in Nigeria. Titus Ethnomusicological Activism as a Game Changer. And my name is Olaleye Olufemi Akonji of the Department of Music. Oh, what is happening?
We can't see your slides again.
The organizer, they are tampering with it.
Okay, please send it again, I guess.
It's the organizer that are tampering with it. Here and the organizer is what I'm saying now. Okay, am I there again?
Yeah, we know that you need to share your screen, sir. If you don't, never tap on the screen.
I guess
Is my slide still there?
No.
No, don't go to share them.
Well, let me try again, please.
Please do that.
It's like there's problem with the organizer there. Hello?
Hello,
Share
sir.
it, can you send it to our mail?
Okay.
Because
Or send it, you can send it to me. Send it to my WhatsApp if possible. Is it not it's not working or what happened? It's coming up now. Yeah, we can see
Is
it.
it there now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is it there now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Please. Okay, thank you. All right. So I want to continue the presentation now. So the problem is that lack of documentation, which has been happening in Nigeria. And we don't want such to happen to ecomusicology. And that is why we are trying to quickly document ecomusicology. According to Said Adirito, they observed that the challenges historians to think about what constitutes the past in completely new ways. And that is why we want to document ecomusicology, focusing on the lives of the originator and the founder of ecomusicology in Nigeria. And to do that, we engage ethnographic method that is include interview, musical sound and text analysis. And some of our secondary data were gotten from libraries and books. And we followed the historical method in the presentation. We make use of ecomusicology and historiology. Ecomusicology's theoretical framework informed the study because it emphasized music and nature, culture, human beings, ecology, soundscape, physical environment, and extraterrestrial forces and sounds. That is according to the foremost ecomusicologists, Allen, Dewey, Impey, Field, and Titus. Also, we accompanied this study with historiography theory, which is the writing of history based on critical examination of sources, the selection of particular details from the authentic materials in those sources, and the synthesis of those details into a narrative that stands the test of critical scrutiny. The ecomusicological work was pioneered by this gentleman, Olusegun Stephen Titus, according to the data that we got in. He pioneered the renaissance and the contextualization of ecomusicology in Nigeria. And as somebody that has been around for more than 30 years in the field of music, and having experience teaching in almost all the institutions from primary school to university in Nigeria, and I'm aware the problem of ethnomusicology and musicology, that most of the scholars aligned according to their field of specialization. But I will not want to open old wounds by going back into details because of the documentation and the non-alignments among the musicology and ecomusicological scholars. Where some of Dr. Olusegun Titus came into the arena and opened another chapter of a music scholar. What we all carried about then is either you are an ethnomusicology, that is the study of music and culture, or musicology that has to do with the science of sound. But now we have another area of specialization. And because we didn't want to mix the history and the authentic documentation of what is happening to ecomusicology and what is happening to our Department of History, that we don't really have the compendium of both the scholars and the various music departments. That is why we are quickly documenting this ecomusicology in Nigeria. However, the question is, who is Olusegun Titus? He's an associate professor of music in the Department of Music of Obafemi Awolowo University. And all this, he obtains all the certificates as far as music is concerned. And he is the leading scholar of ecomusicology, environmental musicology, and climatic musicology in Africa. And his research focuses on music and environment, health, human and planetary trajectory, solid waste, plastic waste, bush burning, climate changes, flood disaster, flood production, music and soil community, blue economics, and poisoning studies, peace building, medical musicology, music and sustainable development goals, and the music and history of built environment, and many other unusual area of sound and musicological studies. He has examined issues of extractivism industry in Zambia, South Africa, Sudan, and Ghana, and presently in Germany. And he has won so many uncountable fellowships using the fields of ecomusicology, which, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure, those of us that study theory of music and ethnomusicology, we have been able to surpass up to the present time. And that is why we want to quickly look at some of his activism and his inputs into the field of ecomusicology and music in Nigeria. We want to quickly look at some of his activities in Nigeria. Titus and musical representation of oil and gas. What a title. You see, it is so strange when somebody is talking about music and oil and gas. We want to quickly listen to him here.
Yeah. Sir,
We
So
don't have
that is
sound.
Rachel Carson, where Dr. Tacho actually talked on the music and gas. So the next one, we want to look at the sound of planetary waters.
So maybe
Some
sound.
of his activism.
Hello.
Some of his activism in Nigeria.
Hello, doctors. Share sound. We are not hearing sound of the music. Dr. Laleye, please share sound. No
That is
sound.
Dr. Titus. Hello?
We are not hearing the music, sir.
But is my slide on?
It's on, but you have to share sound. There's a place to say share sound. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, just go ahead, because I wish you can listen to the sound.
Anyway, what we are trying to prove with this slide is that Titus actually worked on the sound of planetary waters. We have looked at the oil and gas, and now he's looking at the sound of water here. And here he's talking about environmental musicology here. So all this slide that we are trying to portray is just to show some of his activities and activism as far as ecomusicology is concerned. Here, he has talked about writing grants and winning proposals. That in this place, he actually explained how to get your proposal, how to get grant winning in this slide. And the next one, you talk about being creative, innovation and creativity. That is the bedrock of winning grants and proposal. That is Dr. Titus here, exposing the secrets of winning grants and fellowship and various scholarship as far as ecomusicology is concerned. So here he's talking about training of some religious group here, where he also took the issue of grant winning to a church. And let us so he gathered some people and
we are not
train them on how to also win grants and proposal here.
Doc, we are not hearing the sound.
You are not hearing the sound at all?
At all. There's a place to play there's a place to
optimize for audio.
Yes, like say share sound. There's a clip that says share sound.
You have to stop sharing. So it will start with, then before you start, it will activate for audio.
Yes.
But maybe you can just go on with it because of time.
Okay, thank you. Well, I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, we are hearing you.
I was trying to play some of his briefly to show some of his activism concerning different area of scholarship. So the present one, he actually talked about time factor in applying for grants and fellowship. So all these things that some other people will have actually, hid away from people, but he exposed everything. That time factor is also part of things that we need to know in a winning proposal. So the next one. Here, we talk about rejection of proposal. Some of the things that one can do that the proposal will be rejected. And here, we want to look at some of his humanity activities. And here I talk about how powerful is the letter of recommendation. That is, we need to prepare our letter of recommendation and not just the number of wives and the number of children that we are used to in Nigeria. Somebody is respectful, is honest. That doesn't have much to do as far as grant and winning, according to Dr. Titus. So he taught us here how to write a strong letter of recommendation if anybody is going to win. And here he talked about the outdated university curriculum in Nigeria. You know, in actual facts, ecomusicology, we don't get such in the curriculum of Nigerian universities. But he has been advocating that ecomusicology should be introduced as part of what scholars will study in order to really come up with this area of specialization. So what we have been able to mention here through ecomusicology exploration and historical contextualization, this study reveals the connotations embedded within Titus' ecomusicological activism as a game changer, identify recurrent themes resonating across artistic and research manifestation. The study revealed the superiority of ecomusicology to musicology and ethnomusicology. I'm aware that musicology actually focuses the science of sound, and ethnomusicology focuses music and culture. But ecomusicology, actually, anything that is focusing on human being and the environment, there is nothing one cannot discuss under such a field of specialization. Therefore, ecomusicology is more deeper and wider in research depth and scope by incorporating culture sound, environment sound, people sound, ecology sound, sounds of waters, air and land, and extraterrestrial spiritual sounds. Ecomusicology is more relevant to the study of African music because of its extemporaneous and natural features in African music. We know that when we take a Fela's music, for example, most of the Fela's music actually discusses things going on within the environment. Is it water? Is it the government? Is it democracy? Is it the chaotic environment in Lagos? You see, if we focus on ecomusicology, it will help us to have a wider coverage of all the music that is going on in Africa. African music is spontaneous, and this spontaneous, we use African music to communicate within ourselves. And ecomusicology is actually talking about all these things. And therefore, I think Titus activism is actually helping us in order to delve into this area of specialization. And I want to thank the listeners. God bless you, and thank you for your time. Thank you. Sorry for the sound that is not actually coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lale. I'm just wondering whether I'm the one you are talking about or because I'm still learning. I'm still learning a lot. And well, thank you very much. I know that it's a learning process for me too, because we still have a long way to go. And thanks for your presentation. And thanks, Dr. Ijoma. We have other three presenters, but one of them is telling me now that there's the kind of internet issues with his, he's having issue with the internet. So we will we'll just continue. We continue. Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Go on.
Okay, so we'll continue with the next presenter, and then when they come, we just they will present. The next person is the next presenter is Dr. Titus Olusegun. Sorry, I'm hearing some noise.
You have to introduce yourself.
Okay, Dr. Titus Olusegun is a lecturer in Obafemi Awolowo University, and yes, he's a lecturer in OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University, and he's the one talking now. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be talking about this title, looking at ecomusicology or musical representation of oil, copper belt, gold exploration, and displacement in the Niger Delta of Nigeria, Zambia, and South Africa. I'm doing the kind of comparative analysis or comparative studies of degradation, exploitation, exploration in these countries and some specific places due to the corrosive pollution and extractive or extractivist activities that are happening in those places. But looking at it from musical perspective, as we know, and like what some of the speakers have said, there are a lot of lacuna that are present in issues of extractivism from musical point of view, which we are trying to come up and build currently. And looking at it, the discovery and production of oil, gold, and copper belt in Nigeria, South Africa, and Zambia, among other African countries, have brought unimaginable environmental crises to the areas where the minerals are extracted. Exploration also marked the beginning of environmental degradation of land, air, and aquatic life in those areas. Music is also an act of resistance, has therefore cemented a synergy between activists and enclaves of extraction in an attempt to create awareness and promote sustained places like the communities and cities within these three countries which are represented. It's not only these three countries that have been polluted, like we have the Niger uranium that is actually causing conflict and coup d'etat and all the rest, and some other other places. But we want to select these three as a case study. And like I said, these three now represent, in a way, they cannot actually represent, they kind of typifying as a signifier of other countries where we have serious pollution. Like in Nigeria, we have Port Harcourt, Warri, Oloibiri. In Zambia, we have, even in South Africa, we have Johannesburg, we have been oil, gold is being extracted in its massive way. Environmental degradation through oil, pollution, and oil, gold, and mine has brought, like I said before, pollution affecting humans and non-human. And we want to make it non-human centric, because it's as if man in this anthroposonic or Oilocene narratives, what we call Plantelocene, Oilocene, Plantelocene, Oilocene, Anthropocene, all the same narratives and registrars, they are becoming known, kind of part of life currently. The representation of oil and gold and copper belts in popular music in these places, they are very critical. The objective of this paper is to analyze musicians' response. What are their responses to issue of migration, issue of displacement, issue of exclusivity, and speciality, space, landscape to soundscape, to sonic materiality of oil, copper belt, and gold in Johannesburg and other places selected. We have different studies relating to environmental musicology or ecomusicology, from Allen to Field to Guy to Impact, which are dominantly, which are dominant in global north, all right? And there's a little, engagement in, engaging music in global south, especially in Africa, and most importantly in Nigeria. And that is why this is critical. Nigeria, South Africa. In South Africa, we have MP who has done some preliminary studies about borderlands and women in South Africa, and looking at how they use songs as a way of mobility in their workplace. Then looking at the township in Johannesburg, in Zambia region place, and we have the concept of place and space as a phenomenon academic debate, because extractions and extractivism has actually displaced the people. Firmly, know that to call a place a home is to invoke ideas of ownership and belonging, a physical category, and one that is also culturally imagined and produced. We have space in this broad area of practice as a conceptualized in narratives. We have creative practice in the lineage attempt the spectrum between the space of musical or sonic performance or practice, racial space, sound space, class space, ethnic space, performance space. The current study of selected countries fall within the third space because we have different types of spaces in terms of the musical land and spaces, and then the sound studio management, but we have the third space that fall within the geographical musical narratives or music in geography or sociocultural geography, and talks about the space, okay, with location that represented, which is called, they call home and homelessness, that represented in music, and how music also engage and embolden issue of space. I selected some of these musicians, both pop and indigenous. Timaya from Nigeria. We have the singers from Nigeria and also in South Africa and also in Zambia. The selection of these works were based on the importance or the materiality of the themes of our study in their songs. I engaged ecomusicology as a field of study. I didn't need to talk much about it because my colleagues have talked about it well enough. Yeah, I look at Zambia performing group demonstrating land destruction through copper belt extraction. Actually, I was in Zambia. Okay, I was in Zambia for field work and also participate in some of the activities there. I was also in South Africa on research work. Looking at interview. I was also at Niger Delta. Interacting with musicians, with community members, and so on. So I want you to listen to this music, and then we give the explanation. Are we hearing the music?
Yes.
Well, in the music I just played, we can see some performativity, looking at, issue of copper belt in Zambia, representation, and the person on the ground is like the land where the copper belt is built, steps. But you can see the dramatic narratives of humans tumbling, destroying the land, at the same time giving it the money, okay, in a way of, and that is the hypocritical activities of global capitalists in the process of shouting climate change, we need to address it. At the same time, they are opening up new field of extraction. So the music now telling us of the hypocritical activities of global leaders in their hypocritical way of addressing climate change from musical perspective. So let's listen to this music from South Africa. Let me just go to the next one so that I can explain them together. It's also from South Africa. This is what we call minor songs, okay? Minor song talking about the displacements caused through mining, through the gold mining. He said, this song is just a historical narrative of family displacement, health, okay, and the embodiology of the miners in relation to the space of mining. He says, hey, my child, what are you doing here? Oh, you cannot come here. We are mining here. There is gold, a lot of gold. Okay, why did you leave your mom? You can't stay here. The police will arrest you. Do you see my eyes red? Yes, my eyes is red. It is normal. Or I have fluid. No, there's no problem. I'm sick. I know this is the normal thing in the mining land. So the mining situation tells us about the repercussion of the inhaling of dust, which are chemicalized and cancerous, in the process of exploration that are affecting the miners and their families, which are narrated in these songs. Here I have Itimaya. I will not be able to play this one now because of the time, telling us about the degradations, and all the destruction because of oil. Now, my brother played, Dr. Olaleye played this music the other time. But looking at it from water space and local community spaces, I will play it again in the range of
For a very, very long time, our people are suffering. For a long time, our people are waiting. So many things been happening, so many years gone by. I know my people suffering, I know my people cry. From bomb blast to explosion.
Well, there's no time for other musical narratives now. We have the Neka that talked about, the fish, they've come to fish our water empty, they destroy our soil, or they polluted our water and the rest. So we have seen three different selections of songs, talking about extractivism in Nigeria, in Zambia, and in South Africa. And here I talked about the historiography of mobility, oil mobility through the Atlantic narratives, through the pipelines, and we talk about sounding how does the pipeline sounds through displacement, pipeline, how does it sound within the musical and extra musical, narratives within the Nigerian African themes. Now we have the themes. What are the themes in the song? We have the water space, landscape. We have the land pollution, restitution, city and urban spaces, displacement, forced migration, exclusivity, hunger, health, and kind of health implications. Apart from the text, we have the music, which are we have the melodic movement, we have the harmonic structure, we have the different melodic narratives. We have the rhythmic movement, the key center that are actually represented what we call musical elements, which are sonic representation in symbolic and both symbolically and pictorially. So the pictorial issues tells about the pictures and the sound narrative, the tonality, the timbre that are, which you cannot explain in detail because our time is actually have about a minute or two, to end it. No, talking about melodic movement, harmonic structures, key center, rhythm, call and response through compose, which are representative in this music. Now, the emotions in relation to the music and the environment talked about wailing, crying, pains, agonizing, revenge, violence, and the need for what? Sustainability, reforestation, good air, economic boom, sustainability of farming, and restoration of honeybee and other non-human habitat in the place. We talked about mobility now and displacement. The road transport destroyed and damaged despite the extractivism. Now, the study has demonstrated the link of music and its relates oil, copper belt, and gold mining, and exploration, place, space, and landscape. And focusing on Nigeria, South Africa, and Zambia, I have shown human actions and their resultant effects which have affected the environment and species. Ecomusicology theory helps us to understand the performativity of music and degradation. Ecomusicology, as used in this presentation, examine ecological crisis brought through the oil, gold, and copper belt exploitation and transnational corporations like Shell and the rest. Music is a weapon, just like the poetry. Musicians elected have formed synergy of activists in resisting government and transnational corporation and other collaborators. The song text analyzed show that the transnational corporations in collaboration with government have caused economic destruction, poverty, and environmental degradation in the countries selected. Furthermore, I examined oil, transnational, and the looting too, and displacement. Selected songs are therefore well situated in making global advocacy, which could reach a global phenomenon in such other songs could be engaged in other parts of the globe. Popular indigenous music therefore speaks to global environmental sustainability of place, space, and landscape. And I want to say thank you to my funders, AVH, Carson, Rachel Carson, Oxford University, Constance University, Rhodes University, and other funding, Ford Foundation, UNESCO, and other funding bodies that have helped in making me who I am today. And thanks for listening. Thank you. A round of applause for Titus. Now, it's a pity two of our speakers, they are finding it difficult to join due to internet, because I'm in touch with one of them, this internet problem. But we will continue. We take questions and answer now. While if they're able to join, then they will come back. I'm in touch with them through my phone, but we take question and answer from the presentation we made so far. Thank you. It's time for questions. If you have questions, can we see your hands up? So you can also send your questions to the Q&A for those online. Thank you. I can see Dr. Bernard. You have the floor, and Dr. HOD.
Well,
okay,
thank
Dr.
you.
Bernard.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for the I want to say thank you to all the presenters for the presentations. They are very, very fascinating, and they are quite eye-opening to many environmental issues that we hope to address, or that we keep addressing in our scholarship. So I want to start with the first presenter. I hope she can hear me. Dr. Fortu, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, well, thank you so much. And I find your work very, I think most of my, what I'm going to say come off as comments, and then you may find a couple of questions in there. And I find your work very interesting because it kind of also intersects with my work and how I approach environmental sustainability, themes of environmental sustainability in Yoruba sacred literature. So I talk about taboos, I talk about the consequences of flouting these taboos, and how practices, cultural practices put in place by the Yoruba culture have also contributed to environmental sustainability. My question to you would be, so how enforceable, I don't know if that's an English word, but I'm going to use it because in this context, it is about the idea, not about the correctness of the English. So I'm going to ask, this is 2024. And so how enforceable, I say it again, are these taboos that you mentioned in your presentation in the Igbo culture? Are people still worried that they might feel consequences from the deities for flouting these taboos? Do people still recognize these taboos as valuable or as useful in the current state when it comes to environmental sustainability? And I say this because during one of my visits to Osun Osogbo for my data collection, I found one thing very close to the site of the river. So there is this placard that makes use of Ekpe, Yoruba curse, to enforce environmental protection around the sacred grove. And because we are in 21st century and we are in a very writing intensive society, people tend to forget what they hear than what they read. So I guess they also employed, I'm trying to look at the camera, but the camera is this way and this is the screen. So if I'm not looking at you, it's not because it's confusing. And so so what I found at this site is, so there's this big dumping site close to the sacred grove. And so they are not really dumping things in the sacred grove, right? But they are dumping things outside of it. But then the wind comes and the wind blows these things into the sacred grove, and then it trashes the sacred. And that's my coinage. Now, so what did they do? They position whiteboards in places around this dump site with this inscription: Daile Sibi, Ki o ṣòfò tọmọtọmọ, ìdààmú ayé àtọ̀run yóò dé bá gbogbo ẹni tí ó bá da ilẹ̀ síbí, something like that. And I'll translate. It means that we dare you to throw your dirt here and watch your family destroyed, and your children and your grandchildren destroyed. All the causes and all the sufferings in Aye and Orun will become the lot of whoever throws refuse here. And I promise you, quickly, the refuse site became very, very, people stopped dumping things there, because I guess even Christians and Muslims who know that Jesus and Allah can overrule all these causes, stop throwing things there. So I ask, with the incursion of world religions like Christianity and Islam, and the fact that we keep saying, oh, traditional religion is obsolete now, why do things from traditional religion in Igbo culture, do things from traditional religion, does it still scare people off, or does it still help them enforce environmental protection? So that's what I found, that I just completed a book on environmental sustainability and Yoruba sacred literature, and this is one of the things I discussed in there. And so that is my question to you. And to Dr. Olufemi Olaleye, well done. It is not often, especially as Africans and Nigerians, that we celebrate the work of scholars amongst us. We are very quickly to throw big names in the West around and organize conferences for them and celebrate them. And then we wait for our own to die. And then we now like, oh, we wish he was here. And then we start to celebrate them. So when you give people flowers when they are alive, it is something that we should really applaud and really encourage amongst us. So I don't think it's paying attention.
Please.
Okay. Yes. So my question to you would be that number one, I also wanted to clarify that Dr. Titus, that I call him Dr. Titus. We can there is Titus fish that we can eat, but his Titus is we cannot eat because it's a human. It's not edible. So it's not the one that coined ecomusicology. Okay. So it is, and you mentioned that but when you the title suggests that this ecomusicology concept theory is Titus's. It's not Titus's. But Titus gave it an African or a Nigerian approach. And he gave it popularity amongst Nigerian scholars. And so that I think that is one thing you should emphasize, so that you don't go and put Titus in a lot of scholarly problems. And you know what I mean. Titus soup. They say Titus soup, so I don't put him in Titus soup. So Titus made a very big impact on ecomusicology in West Africa. And that we should applaud and that we should celebrate. Yeah. And I want you to make sure that you get that correct, so you don't go and, because there is Allen, there's Pedalty before him, right? Yeah. And you mention them, and then you say Titus is before. I'm like, Abba, where these people, where did you put them? And two, I was also hoping that I would see from your discussion of his work about the importance. I mean, you mentioned about the importance, but when it comes to scholarship and the area of Afro-ecomusicology, as I would say, you did not really let us see what Titus has done. And you did not engage and interrogate Titus's work within that framework, because he has published a lot. And I thought that you would really dwell on his philosophy, his own idea of what ecomusicology is within African context, his own approach to it. And that you did not do. You did celebrate him, but his own work, which is very, very important. I mean, I am from Yoruba Studies and I cite him in my work. I was even citing his Omiyale paper not long ago in one of my work. So he has done a lot. And I think that it is very, very important for us to interrogate, analyze, discuss, and his work within that context. I hope that you'll be able to do. And Titus, your paper, I would always say that it is the way you bring Afro hip hop and culture, the fusion of Afro hip hop and cultural music into your own analysis of ecomusicology and now soundscaping, musicking, Anthropocene, Humanocene, all these things. It's always really interesting and fascinating to read and to hear. And I mean, every time you bring new things to the discourse, and as always, I am wowed by your presentation today. I didn't even know that you had gone ahead and started doing Zambia and South African work, but you are Titus. So what else? I mean, what is new? You live to shock us. And I just want to say I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Okay.
one from Dr. Bernard. Yeah, like what they
HOD,
say.
the person talking now is the HOD,
Second
Department
down.
of Music
Please
from Cross
become
River
leader.
State.
Thank you for the recognition. Let me know, so she has said what I wanted to say, but let me see add the voice to what Dr. Bernard said. She has said a whole lot. I want to appreciate all the presenters today who have done wonderfully well. Wonderfully well. I don't want to talk too much. I want to ask Dr. Titus, can we access this very work that you have just presented online? If we can, let's know how we can get it. Then from Dr. Olufemi, just like Dr. Bernard has said, I wrote it there. Good job to write about the living ancestors, so we don't have to wait until when they are gone. Yes, yes. So thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Ijoma, for doing a good job. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, maybe we just take these two questions first, and then we come back to other questions. Yeah. Dr. Ijoma.
Yes, okay. Thank you for that question. That, how possible is it to now enforce reciprocity, cooperation, respect? That's what she was asking. So, well, we have to look back. It is very possible when we go back to our values, to our principles. Right now, and when you go back, these various religions, we talk about the African religion, we talk about the Islamic, the Christian religion, which most people belong. So you see, in our society, even though people practice this religion, they still somehow go back, also practicing, they still go back to to fulfill some of the aspects of the African religion. Most people, in other words, most people are on the deep in them have belief that the deities and all the spirits still have effects on them. So that is one side. That notwithstanding, they are being they are practicing the modern religion. But actually, this is possible if we go back to re-educate, we revalue what is our principles, because these principles really are what these principles are what make societies civilized. I'm not talking about the kind of technological advancement, because you are technologically advanced does not mean really that you are civilized. You are civilized when you look, when we look at the relationship, how do we relate with our human beings? It's important. Reciprocity is very important. We cooperate. What reciprocity, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander and all that. And when we imbibe that, when we go back and re-educate ourselves, re-educate our children, it is possible that we can, we can imbibe that these values, or re-imbibe, because we had them. We can re-imbibe these values. I don't know whether that's okay. I can also go longer, but I don't want to, I don't want to make it too long. So these are the basic principles that govern human relationships, govern civilization all over the world. If you look at the teachings of Christ, if you look at the teachings of Islam, and of course the Baha'i faith, and virtually this is what they are talking about.
Thank you, Doc. Just to add a little bit to that, I think the issue of land and sustainability, like Dr. Bernard, also mentioned, is it possible to actually go back to the way it has been, or what can we do to protect the land, to protect nature? Okay, like in her work and what she has been doing, like her presentation on Thursday, I was so wow. That was, the SFA of don't that kind of don't pour stand. Say it again. So those narratology, all those narratives, okay, they are very fascinating, because they give us the textual narrative that kind of help us to manage our lives, to build our lives. Okay, when you see everybody, you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, everybody's afraid, of course. And when they write somewhere, put that in this place and let your generation, everybody want to, they will not say, I reject it in Jesus' name. He will say, I reject it, but he will not pour it, because that, that would be that thing will happen. This is Africa. You reject it in Jesus' name with the fact that you are not going to pour that in there. Okay? And some say, don't urinate here. Some say, urinate here and perish. Nobody will want to do that. Nobody. I'm not advocating for it, but in a way, how about if you advocate for it and say, okay, can we put this thing in those places? You will see sanity in it's like cross this. It's like take the government money and perish with your family. If there is, take it beyond environmental, take it to politics. Take Nigerian money and perish with your generation. Take Nigerian money and see some go destroy you. Take Nigerian money. They just believe the Bible and Islamic something. They will not fight. That God is very gentle. Okay. So anyway, that is for another time. We are talking environment, not politics now. Dr. Olale, you can respond, sir.
Well, I want to thank our dear sisters that have contributed. I've noted your points. So next time I will try to go more in depth into some of his ideas and concepts of ethnomusicology, ecomusicology in Africa. So I actually am under him. So I'm seriously learning. And it's been very helpful. And in fact, there was a paper which I published in Canada, and they even pay me in hard currency. And since I've been going about with my musicology, which I did at the University of Lagos under a German-trained professor, Professor Anthony Merini, I was deeply, in fact, I started from a medieval period. I studied all the theories up to the current, and I now applied such in the Yoruba musicology. But still, we couldn't make headways until Dr. Titus Ecomusicology. So I'm still learning. And not only under Dr. Titus, even Dr. The Yoruba doctor.
Dr. Bernard.
Dr. Bernard, yes, thank you. So, there was a time I sent my paper to him. So we are coming up. So thank you very much for your contribution. And the HOD also, thank you very much. That's
Thank you very much. Yes. Thanks very much. I don't know. Thanks very much for this presentation. And I don't know why my dad actually changed my name. I'm supposed to be Balogun, but he changed my name to Titus. He's making my name non-human centric. Anyway, it's the Titus. Maybe that's why I'm doing environment anyway. Yeah, I don't know if there are other questions before we go ahead. Other questions, please. Do you have any question?
Sorry, please, can I can't find the icon to raise your hand up, so do I have the permission to ask a question?
Okay, please ask your question, ma'am.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, my question goes to Dr. Olalaye, and my question is where he mentioned the superiority of ecomusicology to musicology and ethnomusicology. So that is where, I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know whether he can throw more light on why he thinks, one is superior. Because normally ethnomusicology is an umbrella under which eco is subsumed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question. Well, what we learned in the university was that ethnomusicology is the study of music in culture. And if it is the study of music in culture, it is very narrow. I did master's and PhD in musicology, like I mentioned. And most of what we do from beginning to the end is the science of sound, the theory, the chords, the analysis, the atonal music, hard sound. Now, when you put the two together, one is looking at culture, the other one is looking at the science of sound. But ecomusicology is not only looking at the environment, it's looking at ecology, it's looking at people, it's looking at animals, it's looking at the forest, it's looking, in fact, Dr. Titus has just mandated me to prepare a paper on plants, how ecomusicology actually relates to plants. And I've done that. In fact, when he sent the paper, they said I should bring in ecolinguistics. We also expand it to ecolinguistics musicology. Now, all these things, anything that is looking at environment and people, there is nothing, in fact, there is this extraterrestrial discussion. When Dr. Titus is looking at the sound of rain, all these things, you can't do that under ethnomusicology. We are looking at extraterrestrial powers under ecomusicology. So when you look at what ecomusicology is bringing, at least in African context, I want to see that it's more, encompassing than the two fields. That's what I meant. So I'm not looking at this from when I'm superior and you are, no. I'm not even looking at the people, but I'm actually looking at the concept. How wide is that concept? And since we have been studying ethno and whatever, we have not been going about to go and discuss like Dr. Taito has been doing. So that is why I said I'm not looking at it from the superiority of the people, but the wideness and the scope that ecomusicology cover. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let me just add to this. When Dr. Olaye was mentioning that kind of superiority, I was saying, oh, superiority. I was not really comfortable with the superiority, but now he has explained the notion that kind of the compartmentalization, okay, kind of compartmentalize or departmentalization of the scope, because it's actually
It's on the side. No, I did not. I did not. Hello, Dr. Laile, can you hear us?
Seen as all-encompassing. You know, ecomusicology is an aspect of ethnomusicology. It's an applied aspect of ethnomusicology. You can also have music and therapy, music and food security, that is music and gender issues, you know, all the aspects, human endeavors that will be under ethnomusicology. But but ecomusicology is just...
Sorry, ma. Maybe 30 seconds is like we still have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so for me, it's a form of applied ethnomusicology. Should be, Thank you.
Yeah, someone has a question for the next 1 minute.
Hello. I want to say, hello.
No, it's not. It's from here.
Come back. Let's wait until the network will go by itself. Then we wind us. The network will